All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. My name is Dave. Got a special guest today with us via Zoom, not in studio. I was going to say in studio. I don't know why, but I don't have a studio. And it would be kind of hard because we'd have to be socially distanced and we'd be wearing, our face coverings. But I've got on the line here a gentleman by the name of Shaw Davis. He is the ringleader for a band, a three-piece power trio blues rock juggernaut called Shaw Davis and the Black Ties. How's it going, Shaw?
It's going well, Dave. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. So how'd you get started playing guitar? Because you are a beast on guitar, and we'll talk about your style and so forth, but you even teach guitar, is that correct?
I teach some lessons here and there. I have been since the shutdown. I've been teaching some lessons. I haven't posted about it enough. It's just been some friends and a few fans that have reached out asking if I would do some lessons with them. It's been fun. I was nervous at first trying to give a lesson because I've never taken a guitar lesson, and so giving one was really strange for the first time. But it's been fun. It's been cool. And I've learned a lot more giving lessons than I think I've taught them. I think I've learned more from them than they've learned from me. Maybe I should be paying them.
Well, if it helps, hone your craft, I guess, it's kind of like when you try to figure out something on your own, you're trying to maybe teach someone else and you learn something along the way, like you put something together and you're like, oh, I didn't know those parts went together that way.
Right. It's almost like taking a piece and like building it backwards. And it's, you know what I'm saying? It's like, because they may do something totally backwards from what you would normally do it, or your natural instinct, the way to do something. So it's been fun. I've been enjoying it.
You got a left-handed guitar player or something,
Yeah.
Something different throws you off. So how did you get started just playing guitar?
I first picked up the guitar when I was about 15 years old, 14, 15, in that range. I got my first guitar when I was 15 for Christmas from my parents. Is when I first got my guitar. But I first picked up the guitar when I was at a friend's house, and we would play Xbox all the time. And he would only have one controller, and I didn't get to play a whole lot. And so he had an old Stratocaster. It's not old, but it was beat up and just a cheap Strat, in his closet. And at the time there was playing Guitar Hero and all this kinds of stuff, which was fun. And I think it's a great tool for young kids to get into the guitar, which I'm one of them, man. And so I remember hearing, I grew up with Led Zeppelin, Sabbath, all the classic rock from my parents. But on that was the first time I heard I don't know what Guitar Hero, I'm not a big video game guy, but I don't know what Guitar Hero it was, but they had a live version of Purple Haze, Hendrix song on there. Yeah. And when I heard that for the first time and I saw the Stratocaster sitting in the closet, I was like, I want to learn how to play something like that. Like, I want to learn how to do this for real. I don't want to do this on the plastic guitar anymore. Let me try and figure this out. And that was it. And then I started playing, and I've been playing every day ever since. I fell in love with it immediately. Was able to piece out some riffs off the top of my, just by ear immediately, which was kind of cool. Just something like Smoke in the Water, or maybe Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes, but just kind of stuff that you've heard over and over.
Right.
So immediately the pursuit was on. The chase, what I call it, the never ending chase of guitar, it was on.
Nice. That's a cool story. Obviously you had good parents because they listened to good music, and I kind of always wonder why somebody would go in a direction, because right now the kind of music that you play, it's not, overly fashionable. We'll say it that way. Rock and roll, you would think, would never go out of style, especially blues-based rock, because blues is kind of the root of it all, really. R&B, blues music. That's how rock and roll really got its start. And you guys play a relentless, very high energy style. For three guys, you make a lot of noise. Tell us about your drummer and your bass player, because your drummer's a beast. The bass player is totally on point. I mean, you guys, because you only got three guys in the band, it reminds me a lot of, say, the James Gang or, you know, Rush or these groups that have three guys and they have to kind of like be two guys, you know, one guy has to kind of, you know, hey, I gotta, you know, put this thing on my back and carry this thing. Tell us about your drummer, your rhythm section, I should just say.
Yeah, for sure. So on bass, we have Pat Stevenson. Pat joined us in 2017, was it? I believe it was 2017, or maybe it was 2017. He joined us in the summertime of 2017. And Pat has been so great, man. Pat has been, once Pat came into the band, things really took off to a different level. There was a connection there. It was a true connection on a musicianship level that was something that I've just been looking for the entire time. And once Pat came in, the way that we started writing changed. The energy changed, the look changed, everything changed for the better. And Pat, the way him and I write together is something very special too, I believe. Like, we were just writing a song the other day in the studio, and without ever even talking about it, we have these moments quite a bit where, and not to sound cliche, but it's almost like we're thinking the same thing. You know, him and I think very similar in terms of music, I believe. And so we write really well together. But yeah, when Pat came on board, things got a lot better. And we spend nearly every day with each other, you know, the band. So we're pretty tight, you know. Yeah, so we're pretty tight.
You guys like each other then? There's no no tension in the band or anything.
Yeah, man. No, we're actually friends. You know, we're all friends. So, and I think that's such an important thing too. Really, having a true friendship, a true chemistry on stage, it makes all the difference. All the difference.
Yeah. And the other gentleman,
Bobby Van Stone, plays the drums.
Yep.
I've known Bobby for a very long time. I've known him since kindergarten.
Wow.
Yeah, no, me and Bobby, we go really far back. And so we went to kindergarten, elementary school. We went to different middle schools, but we went to the same high school, which was Pompano Beach High School.
Yeah.
And we jammed a couple of times. Bobby and I kind of drifted apart in high school. Like, we just had different friend groups, you know. I played baseball heavily, and that's where all my attention was. I was not focused on music at all.
Right.
Whereas Bobby still was. So like, I kind of drifted away. But we had jammed a couple of times, just, you know, very minor, kind of like, I'd like tell him, like, you know, bring over the drum kit, man, and let's we'll set up in my garage and just make some hellacious noise for a couple of hours. We'll have some fun. And that's probably what happened. And but it wasn't until I was in college that my attention started wanting to go right back towards music, that I called him and told him that we were starting a band. I asked him, I texted him out of the blue. I hadn't talked to him in 6 years. And I texted him and I said, man, you still playing drums? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, I'm leaving college. We're going to start a band. And that was it. That's how it started. And that was in 2016.
Yeah.
Summer of 2016 is when it all started.
That's cool. I mean, you got yourself a young start too, in a form that typically has a lot of older guys that are the heroes. You look at all the old blues guys that play, but obviously, you know, when I listen to you guys, I hear a lot of Hendrix influences. I hear some Stevie Ray Vaughan influences, but I hear some modern rock in there as well. And it's kind of hard to, you know, you just hear like a lick here or like a riff somewhere where it just kind of goes in that direction. So it's kind of very accessible. I could, if I ran a radio station, I was on the East Coast of Florida and I ran a rock radio station, I would take one of your songs, I don't know, Mama Told Me, one of those songs, and just drop it on the playlist and see what it did. Because you guys, the way you play, I think you kind of fuse a traditional blues sound with something a little bit different. I don't know if you can speak to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it starts with the band itself. The only person that comes from somewhat of a blues background is me in the band. Pat and Bobby don't come from like a very blues influenced background the same way I do. The thing that we all have in common though is a rock and a hard rock element. Metal almost too, you know.
Right.
Not saying not like we play metal. I'm saying like we're all fans of the hard rock heaviness. You know, that's one of our favorite bands as a band is, you know, someone like Rage Against the Machine, for example. I mean, we love Rage Against the Machine. When we're driving to gigs and stuff, you know, we're listening to all kinds of music, really, all kinds of music. And I think it's cool. I think I don't try and put anything in. I know it sounds cliche again, but I try not to put anything into a box. I don't, doesn't matter to me if it's blues, if it's rock, if it's rap, it could be hip hop. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is to me, as long as it resonates with somebody, or as long as it's coming from from a kind of an organic place.
Yeah.
That is what resonates with me. So it doesn't matter what it may be. I think the blues element is something that certainly is directly a specific sound. You know, if you want to talk about like taking Mama Told Me and putting onto a rock station, I think that would be an awesome thing to do. I think it could work too. Yeah. I think it's just a matter of having that, you know, immediately when you listen to a song and it has that blues element to it, you know, right. It's got a whole different sound or different feel. It's very much like the 60s and 70s style of rock. If you look at Zeppelin or Sabbath or some of these really hard rock groups, even in modern day times, like, you know, Rival Sons, Rain Wolf. Yeah. There's so many great blues influenced rock music out there today. And it's a very specific sound. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like you listen to hard rock and then you can listen to something that's like hard blues rock, if you want to put things in categories. And there's a total difference there. I've always been drawn towards the more earthy, organic, roots-ish sound of blues rock. Yeah. So that's kind of where I am on that.
And that's cool. That's why, by the way, that's why you're on the show, because I'm more of a traditionalist. You know, I'm an older guy and so forth. So to me, it's important to showcase music like this. I think there's not a lot of you out there, but the problem is that you're not like, you put out a video and it's not getting like 5 million views or something like that. You know what I mean? It's your work and you're doing it the old fashioned way. You guys, I know you play the Funky Biscuit over on the East Coast, which is a pretty well-known blues bar in that area. And a lot of great talent has gone through there. I know you guys did a set there. I want to say back in February before the lockdown hit. And it's one of the reasons I had you on, because I watched that and I was like completely blown away. These guys are making all kinds of noise. They sound great. Your live show is like your recorded show. You know what I mean? Like your recordings and your live music, you go there and you have this live energy, which I think you guys have captured pretty well on the records that you've released. Tell us about, you've got 2 albums out. Is that correct? 2 full-length albums out?
Yeah, 2 full-length albums out. First one was released in 2017, excuse me. And the Tales from the West was released in 2018. We've been holding on to an album now. We got done recording it a year ago. We recorded it last September in Connecticut, and we had plans of releasing it in March. So as you can imagine, that didn't go as planned. And there's been a lot of things a lot of conversations between the band of, like, do we release this thing now or do we hang on to it? And we decided to hang on to it until we can fully get out on the road again. I'm not sure exactly when that may be, but yeah, it's been a hard decision to make, but that's the one that we went with, is to hang on to it until we can really get back out there and promote it the way that we really want to, play these songs live for people. That's a very important thing to us as a band. So, and it's called Red Sun Rebellion. It's a 9-track album. If you want to talk about like more of a rock side of this thing's definitely more of a rock album, and I'm excited, man. It's the album that I think we've always wanted to make as a band. I think we accomplished exactly what we were trying to do in the studio, which is a awesome feeling. And I've said this to a couple of people. I said it's the first time that personally I have left the studio and thought, I don't know if I'd change a thing on it right now. I was really, really happy with what we accomplished and really proud of it. So, and that's a first. If for people who know me, they'll know that I'll be the first one to tell them that I'm terrible. So it felt good. It felt good to finally be okay with a performance. Yeah.
Well, not only do you play guitar, but you sing. You're the lead vocalist in this group. Was that a hard thing? I mean, I know you loved playing guitar initially, but were you naturally gifted as a vocalist, or did you have to kind of, break yourself in and kind of break that barrier? I know there's a lot of guys that are a little shy. They don't want to get out there and sing. They'd rather be, back behind the scene a little bit.
I think it came pretty naturally. I mean, I've never taken a vocal lesson either. So whatever I have, vocal chops are pretty standard naturally, I suppose. I want to take vocal lessons. I want to become a better singer because I think it's something that, as I've gotten older, I've placed more importance on than ever before. And one of my biggest priorities with recording Red Sun Rebellion, the new album, was to go in there. The only thing, I didn't want to make an album that I was proud of from a guitar standpoint. I wanted to make an album that I was proud of from a vocal standpoint. And so that can kind of show you the shifts of where the attention's gone. So yeah, it came naturally. You know, I grew up in playing bars and stuff. Like some of the first gigs that I ever played was like in honky tonks in Troy, Alabama, strumming an acoustic guitar, strumming cowboy chords, singing along, you know, and that was where I learned how to play and sing at the same time. And so transitioning to that into a full band, I didn't think twice about it. I just figured I would sing because most of the time, like you said, nobody else really wants to. So it was almost out of necessity in a way, just so we can go play some shows. And I've enjoyed it. I do. I love singing.
Very cool. Very cool. So I kind of made my own list of maybe who your influences are. I mentioned Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Any other guitar players that you're like, you just love that I like, maybe somebody obscure, somebody you wouldn't think of?
Oh, absolutely. Obscure. I'm trying to think of obscure guitar players that I have really. There's a couple that I really enjoy. I mean, two, I would say obscure for people that don't know me. One would be like Dimebag Darrell for Pantera. Another one would be Timu Manasari, who was a guitar player for a hard metal band called Winter Sun.
Okay.
I adore those two players. I think they're two of the most technically proficient players that have walked the earth. Nice. But you know, I draw a lot of influence from modern day players. Yeah. As much as I appreciate the players of the past, I am constantly looking at modern day guys, and I think I have more heroic figures of mine that are from modern day times. Maybe that's because you get to see videos of them playing more. You get to stay up to date with them. So guys like Philip Sayce, Joe Bonamassa, Eric Johnson, Joe Satriani, you know, Steve Vai. There's a lot of those kinds of players that have influenced me. Been getting really into guys like Eric Johnson lately. I've been getting really into wanting to become a better picker. So learning a lot of things that come with shred style guitar, learning how to really understand how to pick a note, you know, is one thing that I've had to go back and correct. So like these past 7 months, we've been on shutdown. I've just been diving into, you know, my technique as a player. How do I improve and fix problems that I've had in the past? So it could be something as simple as holding the guitar pick a different way, to move it in a different way is what I've really been getting into. So that has been a lot of fun. I've been enjoying that. But yeah, trying to think of some other players that are really out there that are inspiring. Lance Lopez, Wes Jeans. I love Lance Lopez, one of my all-time favorites, man. I heard him.
He's good.
Really Chris Duarte is another one who I adore dearly. And then from a local standpoint, you know, as much as I talk about learning from these guys, I've learned more from two guitar players specifically in town, which is JP Soares and Albert Castiglia.
I knew you were going to say Albert. I knew you were going to say Albert.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny, like, as you can sit there and study something on YouTube or study something out of a book or whatever it may be, but it's funny how when you show up to a gig or something and you'll be on stage just jamming with somebody, how you pick something up much quicker than you would from learning this lick note for note on YouTube, or, you know. So those small little lessons when you're just on stage with somebody jamming have taught me more than anything. Those have been fun.
Yeah. And for a while I've been saying, you know, I don't know if there's something in the water here in Florida as far as talent. Obviously in the past, there've been a lot of amazing musicians that have come out of like the Jacksonville, Gainesville, different places in Florida, but there seems to be a really vibrant, highly acclaimed, I would say, blues scene down here on both the East and West Coasts and pretty much the entire state. That helped you at all, because you've got all these peers around you that are, you know, they're probably giving you encouragement. I take it you're one of the younger guys that are, you know, more or less coming up through the ranks. And I mean, it must be nice to have some friends and some peers to give you, you know, helpful critiques and so forth.
Without it, I would not be talking to you right now. Yeah. So I am immensely grateful for any bit of support that I've received from some of the older guys. And yeah, it's been, I couldn't thank them enough. All I can do is just learn and be a sponge from and soak up as much as I can and show them all the respect that they deserve, because that's what it's about.
Yeah, good. That's good stuff. So obviously we've had a bit of a shutdown, and live music is the bread and butter of the blues scene. And it's been really tough watching a lot of people that, I've gotten to go see live, and just our friends of mine have to shut everything down. I know there are a few gigs here and there in smaller places. Do you guys have any gigs booked for 2020, or is that all pushed ahead to 2021?
We've got a couple of shows right now to finish out the rest of the year, but it's just small local stuff. We don't have any tour dates until next year.
Yeah.
We lost 153 tour dates in 2020, which really hurt us bad. But, it hurt everybody. We're not the only ones that lost 153 dates. So, no complaining here. I hope we can get this back. And so, yeah, a lot of our tour dates have been moved to next year. And to finish out this year, we just have some of our, very local scene type of shows that we have. We'll be playing at the Biscuit. We'll be playing at a couple of places on the West Coast. We have shows coming up. So just statewide stuff that it hopefully is as safe as we can make it.
Yeah. You guys have CDs for sale on your website?
Absolutely. CDs, merch, stickers, everything that I can think of that is merch related to Shaw Davis and the Black Ties. It's up there. Yes, I saw it. Thank you for wearing the shirt. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a cool shirt.
I'm glad it got there in time.
Yeah, I purposely waited to do the interview because I wanted to wear the shirt. So what's the website again, just for the audience?
The website, ShawDavisBlackTies.com.
Okay, and you got music ready maybe next year?
We're looking at a February release date right now. And this is something that I have a hard time saying, because every time I felt like I've been okay, it's going to be July. No, it's going to be August. And so right now we're at February. I take my word for what it's worth, but we're hoping for a February release.
Yeah. Well, just for my audience, I just want to, you're a pretty humble guy, I can tell just by talking with you, but I got to say, this is some really top-notch blues rock. This is, there's what's that expression, out of the box, or think outside the box. This is kind of music that's a little bit outside the box. You'll hear some traditional things, but you'll hear some modern things. You'll hear hard rock, you'll hear blues, but it's different. It's got a different vibe to it. It's got a different energy to it. And I would tell everybody who's watching this, go onto the website and check out the albums, order the products. You won't be disappointed if you like some of those traditional things that we've been talking about, and even some of the modern things that you were talking about, Shaw. I think your music would be a welcome addition to anyone's collection.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Shaw Davis from Shaw Davis and the Black Ties. By the way, where'd you get Black Ties from? Why'd you do that?
I'm glad you asked that. I've been meaning to tell more people that. Black Ties. When I was at Troy, I've said Troy a couple of times. I played baseball at Troy University, which is in Alabama. My dorm room overlooked one of the oldest railroad tracks in all of Alabama. And I've always had a fascination for this railroad specifically. I didn't grow up loving trains or something, that wasn't quite my thing, but I've always loved history.
Yeah.
And so this railroad track, the ties of this thing, which is, I believe it was built in the 1800s or something along those lines, but and it's still in use today, which is awesome. The railroad ties of this have turned this petrified black, this crazy petrified black wood, black ties.
Yep.
And, these things have been through hell and back. They've been rugged and worn and tattered, and now they're petrified. And, but that's where the black ties came from. These ties have held this track together for hundreds of years, and it's still in use. And the train just continues to ride on. And that is what the black ties originates from. It is not a tie that you wear. Maybe I should have been more specific when trying to name that. But yeah, the black ties is just a play on word for railroad ties that hold down tracks. And that's why the rhythm section is the black ties, because they hold down all the tracks.
Nice. That was a good analogy. And and definitely like a blues oriented thing. You just picture these old railroad ties, and you're out there slinging the guitar, and it's good imagery. If you guys ever do like a professional music video, what you ought to do is get out to that track and maybe shoot something there.
We're a step ahead of you, man. We've got plans for it.
See that? See that? All right. Well, I'm of no use to anybody. I just do these.
Yeah, come on.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Best of luck going into 2021. It can't be any worse than 2020.
Let's hope not, right?
All right, man.
Dave, thanks so much for your time, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Take care.